Greetings, everyone. Welcome. My name is Angelic Alchemy Meenakshi, and I'm here beginning of the year 2023 with a beautiful update about galactic wars that I wanted to share with you all. And before I do that, a quick introduction. I am an aura practitioner, an aura past life regressionist, and a raw Reiki healer, as well as a quantum galactic Akashic reader. And I am a channel to the divine. I basically channel Ra, which is basically divine father source, divine mother, all of the 12 archangels, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, the Christ consciousness race, as well as the beautiful goddesses that have walked our earth and are a part of our beautiful universe. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. You can find me on my website, angelicalchemyholistichealing.com, as well as the Aura Practitioner website, where I have a page by my name, Angelic Alchemy Meenakshi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So let's get started. This session is a beautiful gift of the universe to all of us. This was my first session for this year, so it happened pretty close to the January 1 date. So it came within the portal date. And it started with the client's experience. We went into a beautiful past life that the client experienced, saw herself as a priestess of beautiful temples in the lands of Greece, and everything was very different. Maybe perhaps I'll be able to share that at some point, but all crystals, beautiful energy coming through, the light energy bodies of the priestesses within that temple, and the priest could be seen very visibly by all of these beautiful beings that were a part of the temple or the temples. And they all lived within the temples and within the walls of the temples, because the civilization and the people outside were not of a different race, but of a different, you can almost say like a dimension. So as we walked through the whole experience of the session, these temples were in the fifth and the sixth and above dimensions, and the earth outside of it was still in the 3D. So they lived an existence where they could see, sense, feel, know, hear, the whatever's on the other side of the veil, connecting with their higher selves, with their galactic soul families, aiding them. And they were anchoring light on earth, light codes and activations, and as well as they were going through their own beautiful experiences. So as we went through this life, we came towards the end of the life for this beautiful sister, and where she goes outside the walls of the temple to the local village market for some errands, which they did have to go to once in a while. And she gets bitten by a snake, because there were these snake charmers on the side of the road. And although she had taken that road several times before, many times before, and it had never happened before, but somehow at this point, this a snake comes out and it bites her, it stings her on her right foot. And then she dies of that poison. And so now here she is in this life. We come in and we start the body scanning and seeing what's going on. And then the first thing that the angels notice, and we body scan, and I did see it in the energy healing part of it that we do prior to the hypnosis, is that she's wrapped up in chains all over. And these chains are going somewhere, as if she's being controlled by whoever's put these chains around her. And as we start body scanning, the angels and her higher self say it's basically her ex. These chains were put around her by her ex. And then we start digging deeper as to why this was happening. And we realize that the ex basically is a reptilian. So pretty much like we're all different races here. Some come from, some are seraphim angels, some are, Elohim angels. These are all names. They're all one at that level, in the beautiful organic unity consciousness. They don't differentiate themselves. So everybody's equal, but there are different races in terms of experiencing life. And they're Arcturians, they're Andromedans, they're Syrians, they're just Christ consciousness, where Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Saint Germain, Buddha, they're all from the Christ consciousness race, and so are the goddesses. So there are people here on earth that are fractals, incarnations and walk-ins of all these different races, and the reptilian races is again one of the prominent races that we have within our creation. as creation was meant to experience both light and dark. And we know that along the way, the reptilians and many other races took on the role to experience organic darkness. And then from there, it pretty much went down. And, where the organic darkness somewhere changed into inorganic darkness with the coming in of the archons, and the inversion started happening. So coming back to her life here, all these chains were from her ex, who is a reptilian. So what I was trying to explain was, just like there are different races, this ex was a fractal of a reptilian from another dimension. And so we wanted to find out more as to why he had put these chains around her. And so Archangel Michael comes through, and we start body scanning, and we start finding reptilians within her as well. And then he shares that these chains are coming from her ex, who is following her from the times of her existence in the Orion belt as a warrior. So then we go into that space to see what was happening, and then they share more about it, where, as we know, the Orion belt wars have been going on for a very, very long time. And I don't think we can put any years to it, because, time really does exist here in the 3D, and it doesn't exist so much in the higher dimensions. But if you have to put numbers to it, perhaps, yeah, I'm just hearing millions of years. So it's been going on for forever now. And so Orion is a beautiful belt, but, it has different races that exist and live there. There are positive polarizations, as well as there are some that have got negatively polarized. And many of the reptilians are there. They have the bases there as well. So therefore, there are many wars there that happen. And this is something that I found out pretty early when I started doing aura sessions, because one of my first few clients, again, had someone like a spiritual teacher who was from there and who was being attacked by someone there. So anyways, that's a different session. So going back to the Orion Wars, she's a warrior from that belt. She's a beautiful, powerful, positive, angelic race from that belt, and she's a warrior. She's a warrior goddess, and very, very powerful, strong light. And she's been fighting those wars for a while. So the reptilians obviously took notice of her. She was sort of like, we don't have any hierarchy in our wars, but if you have to, pinpoint and say, what was she doing? Like, she was like the general of the army there. Beautiful, divine feminine. And so we tap into the to what happened there. And Archangel Michael shared that there were reptilians, and then some of these reptilians were given roles to specifically target some of the warriors, because they were really strong and powerful. And so there was a reptilian that was assigned to her. He was also, and now he's a general, he was a general of the army, as they call it. Like, if you have to really give it a term or a hierarchy, just so that you understand the level at which this being, the reptilian being, was operating. And he had hundreds of thousands of other reptilians in his fleet. So, that's the extent of his role, basically. So he was supposed to target her, and he was supposed to attach to her in some way, follow her, and shadow her. And so what he did was, they said that he read her energetic, imprints, there's a word they use. He read her energetic files somehow, and he gathered intelligence on her as he saw her light. And then he started following her. So right there in that dimension, he placed a hook on her while she was coming to Earth. That's how he connected. And because he was hooked onto her energy field, he was the same snake that bit her in that lifetime. And what they explained was, followed her in every lifetime in some way or the other. So he'd be either a relative or someone really close to her, because he was meant to spy on her. So he had to be in close relations with her. So he would always manage to manipulate his way, because they can sweet talk, they can look really good, and mask themselves, they can shapeshift. So he did that. He used all of that manipulation. And she's such a beautiful, powerful goddess. And so he did that. And he was doing this, life after life after life. So she had layers and layers and layers of infringements from him, which she had begun healing in many lifetimes before, because, as you know, she did not wait for the last life here to do it. She has been doing it for a very long time. And that snake was pretty much almost like, I think the last time that he stung her. And then from there on, she was releasing him, basically. She'd done a lot of releasing and a lot of healing herself, but still there was a lot more to be done. So that's what it was. He was the same snake. And then in this lifetime, he came in as this partner that she had for some time. And then, he became an ex, but he didn't want to let go. So he put chains around her so he could still spy on her and follow her around. And so that she would just still feel his presence. And then he could just tap into what she was up to. Anything that she would want to do, his role was to sabotage that. And apparently this happens to many, many warriors here, many people here. So yes, so a hint for everyone to just look in and see around them, who really means unconditional love for you, for your mission, and, who have been the ones that have been cheering you all your life, for the light that you are, for the love that you are, and who's putting you down every time. Just evaluate the narcissistic tendencies that you see in people that are around you, and who means it and who doesn't, right? So basically just evaluating that. So she recognized that and she let this person go. And it was just a matter of time for her to, come through with that. And yes, so that's what it was. So we started speaking with this general in the Orion belt. We connected with him, and, he came on and he said he's a general of the war and of the reptilians. And he said he had hundreds of thousands of reptilians in his fleet. And then he wanted to know what was going on. And he explained all of this background to us as well, which I think Michael was there when he was explaining. And then we decided to, then I started asking him if he and his fleet would like to now positive polarize, if they've had enough of this lifetime. And he wanted to think about it. And he was, wondering, should he not? And then we were just talking to him. And then I did share with him, about the times when they were positive. I asked him if they remembered it. And they said that most of them didn't, because obviously they were born into it, because they negative polarized way back. So it was, if you look back, it's their ancient elders that did it. So, and they did have a few, on board that were ancient elders, and they remembered what life was like when they were organic. And I asked them if they could share those visions with them, and they did it. And they were like, wow, it feels like a dream. So they were going through it like a dream of what it felt like before they turned inorganic and dark, when they all coexisted and they all lived in peace and harmony. And then they remembered how they had to, the archons came in and started asking them to, start killing their families and proving that they could be of the dark, so that in place of, doing this role, they could receive power and freedom. But they noticed very soon, they didn't notice then, but now when they look back, they noticed that they gave up everything. They even, sacrificed, they killed their families to show that they could do anything for the dark. But they really didn't receive what they were supposed to receive, their end of the bargain. There was no power. They were meant to be in people's bodies, infringe on them. They were enslaved. They were told what to do. They had a whole lot of AI within them that they needed to release now. So they said, we didn't get power, and we certainly did not get freedom. And this did not make sense at all. And then I asked them if any of their children had ever felt source love. And I think somewhere that's where they broke down, in terms of realizing that their children had never really sensed organic love. And, that was my question to them. I was like, the ancient ones remember what it was like. Have your children ever experienced organic love? Have they ever experienced unconditional love? The love of source, the love of our universe? And they said, wow, no, never. Our children have not seen this light. And that's it. Within that split second, the general said, this is it. I've taken a call for my soul. I am positive polarizing for my children, and I'm going to do it now. And I'm going to check with my brethren, because it's all their free will, what they decide. And he does it, and they all agree. The entire fleet of them, hundreds of thousands of them. And so they start turning to light. And as we're doing that, Archangel Michael and the general say, hey, the ex and the ex's entire family were reptilians from the same ship. So basically, some of these reptilians in the ship, they had fractalized, or, taken births as these beings within this family unit, the ex's family. So they said, now that we are positive polarizing, and they were their higher self. And, we want to make sure that they positive polarize as well. And we asked how that worked, because we want to make sure every time any healing happens that we respect all the universal laws, and no boundaries are crossed. So, I asked Archangel Michael to step in to make sure that is taken care of. And Archangel Michael and the general explained that the general is a higher self of that X. And the general said that by he himself positive polarizing, it has a huge influence on his fractal to also feel the essence and the flow of that energy coming through. And yes. And so he spoke with he and Archangel Michael spoke with the X. The he here basically in telepathically in whatever way, like a higher self form, and the X wanted to positive polarize. The reason being, having been around this beautiful goddess, the general said that he did feel love. He felt organic love, and he felt the power and the beauty of being organic, and he had started to receive that wisdom, and that seed had been sown basically. So he very quickly positive polarized. However, what was holding him back was his mother, who was pulling him back and tugging at him. And then the mother's reptilian herself stepped forth and said she wanted to, she had already positive polarized, and she wanted, for her fractal to see that as well. And when Archangel Michael and the general and she tapped into her energy, she was all archonic, and she was not willing to let go, and she wanted to continue her role here. And therefore, we couldn't really do anything about her, because we cannot cross that boundary. That's an experience that she wants to have. And then Archangel Michael said that she pretty much did not have any soul left in her. She was all archonic. So archons had completely taken over her. And the female reptilian in the ship, which is the mother's higher self, requested that her soul be found, the soul that was within this woman. And she said, now that I've positive polarized, I would like to take my soul back. So, and there it was. Archangel Michael and the dragons went in, and they found her soul, which was with the archons. They brought it back, they healed it, and they gave it back to this reptilian. And which was all done by the higher selves, the archangels, Archangel Michael, Divine Mother. They did it. She found her soul back, and the mother, she will continue her journey on earth as long as she's here, depending on the choices that she makes. And that's what it was. And then hundreds and thousands of these reptilians, they positive polarized. And it was a beautiful shift. We literally felt the shift happening here on earth. As we know that we have ley lines coming from the Orion belt onto earth. And this was basically in the first 3 or 4 days of this year. And so we asked them for a message, and before they left, and actually we didn't ask them, they actually said it themselves. They said they had the collective of the hundreds of thousands of reptilians had a message for us. And here's what they said. So they said, greetings, sister. We have a message for her and for you. We thank you and honor you. We understand what you're doing now. Thank you for your patience in helping us understand about the war. The war is not ours to fight, and we are delighted to return to the light. Thank you for all that you do. We are sorry for the pain we've caused the client, and hope that she can continue her path positively and beautifully. And you could just feel the love coming out of them. It really did tear us up, and it was really beautiful. And then after that, Archangel Michael spoke once they positive polarized and they left. And he said, this is the Orion battle, the Orion wars. So, it's much lighter now, but there are such similar wars. The fact being that there are such wars going on in other parts of our universe as well. It's much, much better than it was before. However, he did share that the other reptilians, this is a message from Archangel Michael. He said, so Archangel Michael said, the other reptilians will see the choice of their brethren and question their role. That will plant the seeds of change. Everything is changing. Balance is being restored. The inorganic darkness is being eradicated to restore the natural balance of organic darkness and light. There is also inorganic light that the inorganic darkness created, and that is also being removed. Wow, that's a powerful one. inorganic light created by inorganic darkness. So that's basically the false light that sometimes people see and they get led by. So they're just making sure that you're surrounded by source love and you tap into your higher self, your oversoul, and source whenever you're tapping into any energy work that you do, basically, or receiving messages from the divine. So yes, that's what the session was about. And continuing to we as a collective need to continue to heal from that, taking an example from this client. And I actually had an almost similar session with another client in 2021, where she was also a teacher within the universe, absolutely beautiful goddess herself, and very powerful archangel. And she actually went from the Illyrian race, which was under battle in a war, and they had to also flee from there, and they were moved to the Orion belt. And then when she was in the Orion belt, she was a teacher in schools and universities there. And one of the reptilian actually, in her case, fell in love with her, but it was not so much love as it was the lust for her light, and did the same thing, placed a hook on her and then followed her here and became her ex here. And after she broke up with this ex, and after she removed the hooks and started healing herself, and actually maybe a little bit before that, when she started realizing and she broke up with this person, she saw the person actually shapeshift right in front of her. So when the ex was talking to her, she literally saw his face turn into a reptilian and his eyes slitting. That's the power of the organic. When you step into your organic essence, and when you start to trust and believe in yourself, you will be able to see the difference between truth and the illusion. So yes, so that's the message. So just for self-healing, just looking around the entire circle, just checking, and seeing if there's anyone that is making you feel like that. People who are narcissists, who have narcissistic tendencies. In most cases, we've seen that they've either infested with reptilians or they are reptilians, basically, and that's why. And they stay very close to this, to the love light warriors. Their role is to sap on their energy, to not let them step into their power, and to constantly, beat them down an entire life. Every time they try to lift themselves up, they'll come in and they'll do something to take that light away from them, to snatch that bit of glory of source organic love that they felt from them in some way or the other. Either it'll be like a snide remark or a public insult, or it'll be a smashing, or it'll be a victimhood that the narcissist themselves would go into and make the empath feel bad for them and not allow them to leave them. So, these are relationships that I think we can all evaluate and we understand what they are. So just looking within and seeing, who is meant to continue with you, and so that you can be on your most organic timelines, most organic paths. Yes. So that's what I wanted to share about this session. And I'm so happy that this session came through as the first one for this year. I think it is a very powerful message to flow through, and the energies of these healings. These energies are going to flow throughout the year, and we're going to continue working. So yes, here we are, starting the year on a powerful note, and it is going to continue to be so. It is time. It is time. It is time. So remember yourselves, brothers and sisters, and continue on your most beautiful, remarkable, empowering, sovereign journey. Be the love light for yourself and the others that are around you that you need to help and aid and take along with you, or plant seeds. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you, honor you, and respect you. Thank you for listening in. I'll see you soon, because there are many other such messages that are coming forth that I'm waiting to share. Thank you. Love you all.